Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining today. I have the pleasure of introducing Pepe Estrada, who is Director of Public Affairs at Walmart. Pepe, how are you doing?
Doing well. How about you, David?
I'm doing good, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us and taking your time to chat with us.
Sure, absolutely. My pleasure.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is if you could share with us your background, your background story.
Sure, happy to share that. So I was born, raised, and educated in Peru. Peru is my home country. I came to the United States on a scholarship, and that allowed me to get a PhD in economics. I am an economist. And through that experience at NC State was very rewarding professionally and personally, because that's where I met my wife, Denise. We've been married almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
We have
Congratulations.
2 children. Dennis Jose, who we call Pepito. He is now a software engineer at Walmart. Very proud of him, a job he got on his own. So very proud of his accomplishments. And we have our second one, our daughter, Ana Sofia, is a junior at Washington and Lee University in Virginia. So proud of both of them for pursuing their education and, reaching for their stars and achieving their own dream. Denise, like I said, we were married almost 30 years. Great cheerleader of mine. I cheer for her as well. She's an economist like I am, but at the same time is a teacher that has been engaged with Bentonville Public Schools for almost 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've never heard of two economists, getting married. So that's a really amazing story.
Yes.
So now in your career, what mentors have contributed to your success? I mean, you've obviously had an amazing path, but has there been anyone who steered you in the right direction?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've had several mentors, and I'll share with you that when I came to the U.S., I realized the important role that mentors play in the United States for your personal and professional growth. So I've had mentors and continue to have mentors, formal and informal, and you could argue that some of those informal mentors don't know that they're mentoring me. They're more like role models. But I'll touch on one that I've had now for, oh my word, almost a little over 20 years now. He was a mentor I met at when I worked at State Farm, and he continues to be my mentor. Art has played a tremendous role in helping me understand what it is to be a professional in the United States, because I worked in Peru, different jobs, completely different culture, different environment. And he not only helped me professionally with that, but he also, David, helped me understand what it means to be Hispanic or Latino in the United States. I'll argue that to this day, I continue to learn about our community. I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert. I just know that I need to continue to learn, and he helps me in that journey of learning about our community. So I encourage everyone to have more than one mentor. I think mentors play a key role in helping us become like better individuals and better professionals.
Right. No, that's very true. Absolutely. Um, and I think that you're also working on giving back to the community. I see that you're involved in a lot of boards of some organizations that are helping empowering Latinos. Could you tell us about your participation in those organizations?
Sure, happy to. So I've had different board experiences, like you mentioned, and I guess I'll say that my experience has two different pillars, or similar pillars, if you will. Like you said, I've served and continue to serve on organizations that focus on Latino leadership and Latino development. And the one thing that I've learned there is that the staff is always very passionate and committed to the mission of the organization, which I think is fantastic. The one thing that I'm able to add to the organization as someone that has had some corporate experience is helping with structure, helping with strategy, helping with goal setting, and helping with measurement. Our nonprofits do a lot of good work in the Latino community, and often they need a little bit of help in making sure that their impact is measured so they can tell the story of what it is that they're accomplishing and how they're helping every day Latinos and Latinas across the US live a better life. And then I'll highlight also experience with boards that are mainstream boards, if you will, nonprofit organizations that are not really diverse, but are smart enough to recruit people like me to serve on the board. And the experience there is fascinating because it helps me translate what they do and as to how their programs and initiatives are going to be received, in my case, by the Latinx community, and how important it is to design some projects and initiatives with the Latinx community from the ground up. And by the same token, you know, with diverse communities, if you design a program with diverse communities, with the cultural know-how of those communities from the ground up, your program will be much more effective as if you try to do it at the back end. So board service is something that's rewarding personally, but also helps all of us contribute to a better community for our loved ones.
Yeah, that's true. And so what challenges do you think that, you know, in diversity and inclusions that we as Latinos are still facing when we're pursuing some leadership roles?
I think there are many challenges that we still face. One that I've seen over my years as a mentor is that often we don't take enough time to learn about the business we're in, whether we're business owners or whether we work for someone. We need to take time to learn the business. So to access leadership roles, it's definitely important to deliver results. It's definitely important to have a strong network inside and outside your company. It's important to have mentors, but it's also very important to be a student of your business, because then that allows you to use that extra tool that you have in your toolbox by being a member of the Latinx community, understanding your business. Then you can use all those tools to show up as someone that understands your business, that understands where it's going, and that is also someone that can deliver solutions to make your organization even stronger and more competitive than how you found it. So I think that's important. The other important thing, I think, the other challenge that we have, that I have personally, is that culturally we've been raised with a heightened sense of respect, of deference, of strong work ethic, and just working, not talking too much about what we do, because we see that as bragging, right? But then we're here in this environment in the US where we need to understand the leadership traits that exist in the mainstream, would have to do with things like being able to sell yourself, with being able to speak up and push back appropriately, with being appropriately aggressive with some things, with showing leadership as an individual more so than pushing your team from the back. And I think we need to learn those leadership traits that, in my opinion, can very easily be built upon our belief of strong work ethic, our belief of responsibility, our sense of respect, our sense of loyalty. That's a great foundation for us then to build on, tack on those leadership skills that are so favored by mainstream organizations in the US. So we need to get out of our comfort zone and learn what I call the rules of the game of corporate America if you work for corporate America, because without that, it's going to be hard for you to advance in leadership roles.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. Make sure that you understand what are the rules of engagement of where you work and what are those leadership traits that are favored by the organization that you work for, and learn them.
Yeah, I love that. That's really good and on point. I think that, you know, you're absolutely right. Getting that, just basically leveling the playing field,
Yeah,
and getting that expertise and knowing your business. That's absolutely, that's something that, you know, we can all take and learn from that. Um,
absolutely. And then, be open to be willing to learn anything. I mean, don't be stuck in your training. Don't be stuck in your degree. You have the ability to learn anything and deliver on things that you thought you were never going to be able to deliver. So, for example, at one point in Peru, I was charged with designing, implementing, and running a produce packing line. I'm an economist. I did not study industrial engineering. I'm not an agronomist, but I made the decision to learn it, and I designed the packing line. Yes, with a team, I installed the packing line and we ran it successfully. So it can be done. We can do anything that we set our minds to. We just have to be open to learning. Learning is key. You cannot stop your learning.
that's a really great story. You know, because like you said, we get in that comfort zone, but you know that challenged you. I'm guessing.
Yes, it
Did
is
it?
challenging. Absolutely, David. Just, well, somewhat recently at Walmart, I was also challenged with another project that I led that resulted in, after 10 years of work, this project's final outcome has resulted in that every year in the United States, 10 Latinx children, or 40 Latinx children on average every year are born without having to suffer spina bifida.
Okay.
So it was an amazing project that allowed us to redesign, with the help of one of our vendors at Walmart, Gruma, to help redesign the product so it could include folic acid, which is very important for babies to be born healthy.
Yeah.
And here I am again, an economist. I'm not a food scientist. I'm not in the health field. Um, but you just assemble a team of people that are smarter than you, and you deliver. So get out
Wow.
of your comfort zone, learn, and don't shy away from new things.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really good story. I love that. Um, so, you know, as we're talking about diversity, um, you know, more and more companies are valuing, or finding the value in having a diverse staff and workforce. So, how
Mhm.
would you sell the value proposition to organizations that are still behind of the curve? You know, moving towards an inclusive
Sure.
work culture.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Um, here's what I would do. And like you said, some organizations understand it and are making strides in the right direction, and some are not. But I think we need to help some organizations that don't see this yet to understand that there's a tremendous demographic change happening in the United States as we speak. In a short few years, this nation is going to be majority minority.
Mhm.
The statistics are there. There's nothing we can do to stop that. This is going to happen. It's not if, it's just a matter of when. And it's probably going to happen sooner rather than some experts estimate. So here's the opportunity. The demographic change shows that the market, the consumers, are very quickly becoming heavily influenced by members of the Latinx community, to the point that pretty soon the largest segment of consumers in the US will be Hispanic. The largest segment of workforce entrants are already members of the Latinx community. And if we look at our schools across the nation, in the elementary grades, across the board, those grades are already majority Latino. So organizations, in my opinion, have a choice to make. One, they ignore this growth, and therefore they incur the risk of losing market share because they don't understand that their customer base is changing very quickly, or they become stagnant, or they become proactive, look at the demographic change, and make the decision to hire talent that reflects that market, that would allow them to understand the market and be one step ahead of what their customer wants and needs, and become more competitive, more prosperous, and hopefully get an unfair share of their market. So businesses and organizations like mine are about profit, are about the infamous P&L. So I think that's how I would sell the business case. Your opportunity is you either continue to become a thriving business 100 years from today, and to do that, you have to acknowledge that diversity is going to play a key role, or you ignore diversity, and you're probably not going to be around 100 years from today. So what do you want? Which of those outcomes do you want as a business owner? And I think a lot of people are going to probably want to be around, or at least for their businesses to be around 100 years from today, right?
Yeah, that's true. You make a very compelling case there. Yeah. And no, we've seen some of that. I believe I was looking at the statistic that salsa outsells ketchup in the United States.
Yeah.
That just seems very unlike when I came to the United States in '97. It was hard to find Latino products when we would go to Walmart, but now they're just ubiquitous,
That is correct. That is correct. We've seen it over the years, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
salsa is a major product in the market. There are a lot of ethnic products, what we used to call ethnic products in the past, that are now mainstream products, right? Like
Right.
tortillas, beans, tacos, you name it. These products are now consumed across the board. So
They're part of the culture.
they're part of the U.S. culture, which
Yeah.
is fascinating, right? And exciting. So the business opportunity is there for those that want to take it and make some profit. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so one of the things that we're asking our speakers is for them to share how they keep their Hispanic heritage alive. And could you share that with us?
Sure, that's a really great question. I think there are a few things that I do. When possible, I try to go back to my home country in Peru and visit with my family and go back to my own roots. So I definitely try to do that. I do my best to share with my children my experience, my background, my history, where I came from, my different challenges. And thankfully, because of Walmart's support, I'm also able to attend national Hispanic conferences. And that gives you an opportunity not only to represent the company, but also network with my peers and get back into my culture. The other thing that I do, David, is when I travel, I deliberately go, if I know that, if I'm in LA, for example, I will go to El Cerrito de Tepeyac to immerse myself in Mexican-American culture. Sure, I'm Peruvian, but in the US, I'm Hispanic. Or if I'm in Chicago, I make it a point, if I have time, to go to Pilsen or La Villita to, again, be immersed in my Hispanic culture to make sure that I don't forget where I come from. And then I also do my best to read books by Latino authors and Latino researchers, like I'm right now reading a book by Dr. Robert Rodriguez on how to recruit and attract Latino talent. Sure, I'm not in the HR world, but I respect Robert a lot. And that reading what his thoughts, his insights, his research allows me to continue to be in touch with my culture. So those are a few of the things that I do.
Yeah, it seems like you have a very well-rounded strategy. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the last question that we're asking is
Mhm.
if you could share with us any new projects that you're working on, personal, professional, or volunteering, anything that you're working on right now.
Sure, happy to. I'll call out something that I'm getting started right now. I've been invited by Voto Latino, and I think some of us have heard of Voto Latino. I've been invited to serve on their Impact Council. And what this council is charged with doing is to help message to our community how important it is to be civically engaged.
Okay.
And we're leveraging a presidential election year. But the bottom line of this is civic engagement. So what we're saying is that if you're able to, it's important for you to register to vote, educate yourself regarding the candidates at hand, and vote. But not only during presidential years, you should also be engaged in your local elections. So I'm talking about school board elections, I'm talking about city council, I'm talking about state level elections, because in our nation, as citizens, we have the opportunity to shape our neighborhoods and our communities, our schools, the way we want them to be, the way we want them to be these environments where our loved ones can feel welcome, can get benefit from them, and hopefully achieve the tools that they need to succeed. But we can only do that if we are active participants in the civic world of voting. So I'm excited about this new role. I'm excited about this mission of volunteering. And yes, Walmart is supporting me with that. But I'm excited to the fact that I'm going to help message to our community that if we want to live in a safe neighborhood, in a safe community, we need to engage in the local elections. If we want schools that are going to embrace our children and help them achieve their dreams, we need to participate in school board elections. If we want a state that is welcoming of all of us, then we have to engage in the state election. So, and it's not just showing up at the polls, but also we need to realize that those of us that can vote are taxpayers.
Right.
And therefore, through our taxes, we contribute to the salaries of the elected officials that represent us.
Right.
So we should also hold them accountable in between elections to deliver on what they promised us they would deliver. And that goes all the way through calling their office or sending them an email, or, old-fashioned snail mail works too. But even today, you can text some elected officials and share your opinion with them. So it's that whole 360 civic engagement piece that we as a community need to embrace and activate and make sure that our voice is being heard. So very excited with that opportunity, David. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that people can do to start contributing to what you're doing right now, or do you have anything already set up?
We're starting, but it's a great question. And what I would say is the following. We all, those of us that can vote, those of us that are registered to vote, we invariably know one or two individuals that are also able to register to vote but haven't done so yet. What I would ask everyone is to find two friends or relatives that are US citizens that have not registered, encourage them to register to vote. And on election day, if they live with you or if they don't, pick them up, take them to the poll with you, and encourage them to vote.
Yeah.
If we all can take two new voters to the polls, imagine how loud our voice is going to sound on election day. So I would encourage everyone to help us with that. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, Pepe, thank you so much for your time and for agreeing to share your story with us.
Thank you, David. My pleasure. My pleasure. Glad to be here. It's an honor for me to share my story with you all, and I'm ready to continue to help in any way I can.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.